If you look closely, you can almost see the high watermark this game left on Telltale, then receded and went no higher. It's been nothing but Minecraft story mode and disappointing The Walking Dead season since. Game should be called CSI Fabletown. Reading. Why would the Fables call themselves Fables? They came from different worlds full of magic where their existence would be considered pretty ordinary. Fables would be our name for them, and this game points out that humanity is unaware of their true existence. Also, the reason they are called Fables to begin with is because their history became known to humans who passed the stories down over the years as fables. Problem is, those stories all happen in different worlds from ours. So how did humans even learn about their stories and start passing them down? Look, I love the concept, but not so much that I'm going to overlook that it makes little sense. Also, this idea of a world full of fairy tale characters is the exact same premise of the Shrek movies, which came out a year before the Fables comic debuted.
But remember, the hotter the air is, the more moisture it can hold. So 103 with 31% humidity is a lot more humid than, say, 73 with 31% humidity.
Thanks for the weather report. Really set the stage. Bigby is the sheriff of Fabletown. Can't they give him a car instead of forcing him to take a taxi whenever there's an issue? What if he needs to be somewhere quick?
I'm looking at a 3-foot toad in a sweater. That's a problem. If you can't afford to look human, you're going to the farm.
Non-human fables are required to use glamours and make themselves look human so they don't attract attention from Mundies, and Toad's lack of one is the main focus of his storyline. However, I don't know why it's such a big deal since Toad walks around in broad daylight without anyone ever noticing the giant talking toad. Also, fables need humans to know about them and their stories in order to stay alive. The more people who know their story, the more resistant to injury they are and the longer they live. So keeping their existence a secret is counterproductive. And if they've always been this strict with their secrecy, how did humans learn their fables in the first place?
Do you have any idea how much it costs to have an entire family in glamour?
Well, it's just you and your son, and I'm kind of curious about that. Toads spawn thousands of offspring at a time, but you only have the one, and TJ is a fully formed toad even as a kid. Shouldn't he be a tadpole or a newt? Am I thinking too much about this? You bet your ass I am. At least this game had the forward thinking to tear off the cover of the matchbook so it didn't reveal the bar it came from. However, that does get rid of the striker on the matchbook, making it largely useless. This QTE fight with the woodsman goes on forever as you smash him into every piece of furniture in his apartment.
You're not getting sick, bitch.
Say that word one more time.
What? Bitch?
What did I say?
Would Bigby really be that pissed about someone using the word bitch? I mean, Bigby is a wolf. Yeah, that's the wrong eye to be checking. It's your left eye the woodsman gave a shine to.
Why was he hitting you?
He asked me if I recognized him, knew who he was. I said I didn't.
I'm the woodsman, you whore. I saved Little Red Riding Hood from this monster.
Yes, but that hardly made you a pivotal character in that fable. You were just a Deus Ex Machina that showed up at the end. There's no question that you were less famous than Red Riding Hood or Big Bad Wolf. Or even Grandma. So is everyone from the worlds the fables come from like this? Worlds full of people who live for centuries and are near impossible to kill? Not everyone from them can be a character from a fairy tale. There would have to be some run-of-the-mill normies. But none of them were exiled here. Also, a fable's resilience, injury, and death is tied to how many normal people know about their story. How does that even work? Why would people knowing a person's history imbue them with near immortality? And how did that work before they came here? Back when they lived in their original worlds?
I'm just getting what he owes me.
Technically, he doesn't owe you anything. He got violent before you could sleep with him. Also, what kind of prostitute doesn't get the money first? I have to think leaving a man in the street with an axe wound in his head would be just as against the rules as an unglamored toad.
Hey, you like my ribbon?
I wanted to point that out just in case it becomes important to you later, even though I have no reason to believe it will.
I feel like we've met before.
This is a line that will not be brought up again or even elaborated on until just before the end credits, meaning this game is already sequel baiting at the start.
You're not as bad as everyone says you are.
Same goes for this line.
Please, Bigby. Promise me you won't tell Beast you saw me.
How do you intend to keep your job secret from him? He's going to realize that you're gone all night.
Got a smoke?
Colin, a pig, somehow was able to get into the Woodlands apartments, a place he isn't supposed to be since he's a non-human fable, and managed to get into Bigby's apartment without a key or opposable thumbs, yet can't pour his own drinks or light cigarettes. In fact, Colin shows none of the physical abilities it would take to build a house like in his fable.
This has gotta stop. You can't keep sneaking off the farm like this.
In all honesty, Colin is one of the few non-human fables that wouldn't arouse much suspicion if anyone saw him as long as he didn't talk in front of any Mundies.
Bigby!
Snow?
Come with me.
Snow. Snow!
What?
Well, you knocked on Bigby's door, told him to come with you without explaining anything, and now he would like you to fill him in on why you woke him up and why you look terrified.
These walls are paper thin. We need to be careful. We'll talk outside.
Even if the walls are paper thin, pretty sure you would have no trouble telling Bigby what's wrong inside the elevator. Can you just tell him that someone left a woman's head on the stairs? Not everything has to be a reveal, and not everything has to be seen to believed. Also, Snow White left a dead woman's head unattended on the front steps for several minutes while she went and fetched Bigby. Anyone could have come by and found it during that time. Despite finding blood left by the person who placed Faith's head on their steps, Bigby will be unable to identify the person by smell. Bigby has such an acute sense of smell that he has to smoke all the time to dull his senses, and this game just ignores that he can easily find who left the head by smelling them out.
I'm gonna have to tell Crane about this.
I like to point out that the murder involved a beheading, and no one suspects Ichabod Crane, acting mayor and person connected to the Headless Horseman.
Buffkin, get the books.
Which books?
The ones with all the fables in it.
Not sure that was any more specific.
Bigby would be great at game sins.
In the meantime, poke around. Maybe the mirror can help.
The magic mirror should have been the first thing on your mind after the murder. You have a mirror that can show you exactly who the killer is. So, of course, there's a magic spell preventing it from showing you anything that would reveal that. Which also makes no sense because the magic binding the prostitutes from speaking is applicable only to them. Tarot cards predict the plot cliche. And I mean, damn. Was this a personalized deck? There's even a card with a dark-haired woman hugging a wolf. All the important information is in the middle of the book cliche.
Yeah, dwarves.
That's Dwarvist.
This symbol on the man's clothes, it's the same as the rings.
Could be her father.
Not only was the murder girl Faith, or Donkey Skin, on this page, but every character that will appear in the game was on the very same mural. All the important information is in the middle of the book cliche. This one is going to happen a lot in this game.
The story of Donkey Skin. There was once a great king with a beautiful queen. The queen grew ill and had her husband promise to only marry the most beautiful girl in the kingdom. After a long search, it became clear that the only woman in the land that could match her beauty was... his daughter, Faith.
Why the sudden shift in tone? Fairy tales were dark as hell. Where do you think the word grim even comes from? And the story of Donkey Skin Girl isn't even that bad. She even lived happily ever after. Until someone murdered her.
Big, shit. Listen, right, there's a bloke upstairs going through all the woodsman's things. Get over here, Big, before he... Oi! Shit! Hey!
Phone call cuts out midway cliche. Bigby saw someone searching the woodsman's apartment and rushed upstairs to catch them only to find it empty. There's only one way out of the building and Bigby ran up it. And Snow was on the street looking at the hole in the wall, so he didn't leave that way either. Why would Faith bring her donkey skin cloak with her on a job? I guess maybe the woodsman was into a girl dressed as a donkey, but I don't think she would have left it there after the fight. Prince Lawrence, Faith's husband, committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. The woodsman took an axe to the brain and shook that off like it was nothing.
Bullet passed through the chair. The angle works if he shot himself.
No, it doesn't. He only has an entry wound on his left temple. For that bullet to go through the chair he was sitting in and lodge in the wall at that angle would have required some awkward contortion plus an exit wound. Tweedledee, who was previously searching the woodsman's apartment and somehow beat Bigby here, was hiding inside the closet before Bigby even arrived. Strange he didn't do that same disappearing act he did back at the woodsman's.
I was just asking him about the girl, that's all. When I mentioned her being dead, he freaked out. I figured someone had told him. Fucker shot himself right in front of me.
There is no way for you to know that Faith is dead unless you were a party to it. Since Bigby doesn't catch this, I have to assume it's bad writing instead of a subtle hint about Tweedledee. That one punch knocks Bigby out. The woodsman did way worse to Bigby when they fought, and that did knock him out.
Who do you think did this?
Why would you even name Bluebeard as a suspect? You haven't even met him in the game yet and he has no connection to the crime. If it's because his fable is about killing his wives, then sure. But there are a lot of murderous fables.
There are fables that are struggling worse than I'd imagined. To have to turn to prostitution.
These fables have had centuries to accumulate money. They could sell antiques, invest, anything really. But most work as hookers or at dive bars.
Yeah, maybe you should handle this one.
You just came from an assault and then a suicide. An alley with a pimp in it shouldn't be giving you cause for concern. No real use in trying to straighten your tie, since you keep it permanently loose.
A lot of these walk out the door?
Yeah, it's called advertising.
Yeah, we give them out for free in case of murders that need evidence. You wouldn't believe how many cops we get in here.
I was gonna rob her. And the night I finally get up the nerve to do it, there you are, fucking things up for me. You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
What are you talking about exactly?
Red Riding Hood.
The fable that makes you, well, a fable. I would think you would know this story by heart. This game has a different definition of the words glass him than mine. I expected them to tink glasses for old times, not break it over his face.
Holly's sister goes missing. No one gives two shits about her.
Did you ever try reporting it? I mean, Toad, who's lower on the totem pole than you, was able to call the office and get Snow White and Bigby over to his place in no time for a simple break-in.
And that bitch Snow White looking right past me, then ushering me out the fucking door.
I wouldn't call her that.
Seriously, Bigby should not care if people use the word bitch. He's a wolf.
I got $100 for the first bloke that can tell me something about a girl named...
You told Bigby where to find the woodsman, so why are you so surprised that Bigby's here? Both of them trip over stools trying to escape. What are the odds? I see that the blood has reappeared on Tweedledee's face when he had none on him back at the bar. Snow's head on the front steps is a great cliffhanger for anyone who hasn't read the comics, for which this game is a prequel. For those who have, they know Snow isn't dead because she is very much alive in the graphic novel.
What is it with you cops? Always trying to empathize with people.
But you're a sheriff. You have to do the same thing.
Your nose is bleeding.
The detective's nose didn't start bleeding until after you told her. Crane walks into the interrogation room holding a box of evidence on Snow's murder seconds after the memory wipe spell knocks all the officers out. He had nowhere near enough time to use this spell, collect the evidence, then free Bigby.
It's just a memory wipe spell. Very expensive, but it works. The whole station will forget the last 24 hours.
I can see how this helps you, but putting a police precinct to sleep for a full day means a lot of emergencies are going to go unanswered. Innocent people are going to die because of this.
We found Tweedledee chained up to a post. That was your doing, correct?
Strange that the cops never found him. Bigby chained him up just around the corner from the murder site.
Our stories used to be so simple. We had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
FYI, that's how all stories work, even complex ones.
That's not a very good answer, is it? Come on, just tell me what I want to know.
Hi, I'm Dave Fennoy. I'll be a massive red herring in this game, since I have little reason to be involved in the investigation, but my fable is that of a serial killer, so it works to mislead you.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain this, because I'm really not getting it yet.
After our conversation in the taxi last night, I got a call from Toad. He said his son found a body. We thought it was Faith at the time. Getting her back here wasn't easy.
You found Snow's head last night and now it's midday. You mean to tell me that Snow was gone that entire time until now? And never checked in to say that she'd found a headless corpse in the river wearing her exact same outfit?
We thought it was Faith at the time.
You thought it was Faith's body even though she was wearing your clothes?
What were you doing with the mirror, Toad?
I thought maybe I'd catch you on the shitter.
While he was in the room with you? Why would you want to see that? Or show it to your son? The guys who threw the body in the river would have noticed she was missing her head. Considering who is actually leaving the heads at the Woodlands and the reason for doing so, you would think that would have clued them in that someone on their side was trying to tip off the authorities.
If the glamour is supposed to make her look like me, shouldn't it be concealing things like track marks? Unless someone is making glamours illegally?
It's not technically illegal, miss. It's not encouraged for sure, but there aren't any laws specifically forbidding it.
So there's some sort of black market for glamours?
There can't be a black market for something unless it's illegal, which Buffkin just said it wasn't. Someone could sell cheap glamours openly if they wanted. Behold the diabolical mind games that Telltale has created. Can you solve the fiendish puzzle? Oh, that was easy.
I don't know many trolls, I'm afraid.
Should have left them all back in the homelands.
That's trollist.
I'm dying to hear about the body that came out of the East River this morning. It was a fable, right? Oh, everyone knows.
Tweedledee was just here.
While Tweedledee does know about the fake Snow White head, and that Snow White is alive, he most certainly didn't hear about the body being fished out of the river, as Snow told that to Bigby after they left the interrogation room, so him knowing about the body should be a huge hint.
Where were you when we reported this weeks ago, huh?
Holly's sister Lily disappeared weeks ago, but she couldn't have been dead for more than half a day. The Wolf Among Us' boob rendering technology is 5 years behind Metro Last Light.
What do you think you're doing? You look like you're trying to take a shit. Who's gonna want that?
Well, there might be a couple here and there. Georgie uses a ghetto blaster when his club has a built-in sound system.
It's by design. Discretion is our guarantee, right? And the way we guarantee that is that no one knows anything they don't have to know, including me. I cover my eyes and take my cut. End of story.
Why not look it up?
What's that?
Isn't there a little book with all the stuff about the girls and all that written in it?
Georgie was pretty clearly trying to mislead Bigby, and Hans contradicts him knowing this. This almost feels like Hans trying to sabotage Georgie, except that Hans never shows up again in the game and has no reason to, meaning this is just bad writing.
Well, what's this? Looks like a floor safe.
I wouldn't know. It was here when we moved in. I don't have a key to it.
And thus an entire subreddit was born. All the important information is in the middle of the book cliché.
They used to call me the Little Mermaid.
With all the fairy tale princesses working as hookers, this game is starting to feel like a Disney movie if directed by Frank Miller.
This is what I need to know about.
You just pointed to the wrong entry.
I need 150. It's not good to be short.
Of the bills I can see, I count $26. Even assuming that last bill is $100, it would still be short of the money Bigby needs to make an arrangement to find room 207. Georgie falls for this and makes an arrangement for Bigby to hire Narissa so he can find the hotel Lily met her last client in. It should be pretty clear that Bigby isn't there for sex.
I work here, okay? I work the front desk.
All of the princesses have American accents. They come from a European-style fantasy world. Yet Snow White, the Little Mermaid, Faith, and Beauty sound American.
It's to help pay rent.
Was Mickey D's not hiring? I think you could do better than her brothel.
Ever see Lily with someone here? Maybe on a job.
Sometimes. but nobody I've recognized.
Really? Because the guy she was here with last is the man who currently runs Fabletown and lives in the same building as you. And people have to check in at your desk.
Bigby? How could you do this to me?
No, sweetie, no. Wait a minute.
How could you do this? We've been together through everything. I took care of you. I love—
It's not what you think.
B shows up just in time to misconstrue why Bigby and Beauty are entering a hotel room together. Thus, the quick time events ensue. This game is playing fast and loose with Beast's fable. Nowhere does it state that Beast can transform back into a monster after his curse was lifted. And if this is what he looked like as a beast, then it was hardly something worth writing about. He's just a guy with horns.
I'm not a prostitute, you idiot. I work the front desk.
If you had just said that when Beast showed up, the whole fight could have been avoided.
Do you smell something?
Just the evidence that someone bit into this apple and looked like an asshole while doing it. All the information is in the middle of the book cliché. If you're going to keep doing this, at least stick a bookmark in there. The people responsible for Lily's death had all day to clean this room and dispose of evidence. The only thing they removed was Lily's body. They even left the photographs here that show Crane with Lily. And this photo was the thing they killed Lily for.
It's Crane.
You mean the guy who was involved with beheadings? Who could have seen such a twist?
You have the nerve to show your face here? After you lie? After you promise me?
Bigby promised you Lily's body, and then you promptly left with Snow to go get it, only to find Crane had dropped it down the witching well. Not exactly Bigby's fault, is it?
We'll snip to the chase for all sakes. A little bird told us that you're fitting to go after Crane. And you see, we have an interest in that particular boy.
How do Tweedledum and Tweedledee already know that Bigby knows about Crane? He just found that out and went straight to Snow White. The only other people who know are Beauty and Beast, and they wouldn't be telling these two.
So, to recap,
Crane watched me through the magic mirror uncover his room at the open arms, and then he smashed it so we couldn't use it ourselves to go after him. And we know this because Buffkin was drinking in the rafters. That about cover it?
and once he—
All of this you clearly knew, but we need to give that information to the player and couldn't think of a less awkward way of saying it.
Visit.
I can't finish the mirror. It's missing a piece.
What do you mean, missing a piece?
That statement is pretty self-explanatory.
We're just gonna have to do this the hard way.
What exactly is the hard way?
We'll look through his things, his desk, everything.
That's actually the normal way, and what Bigby has been doing this entire time because the mirror has been useless.
I saw him jump on the telephone before he left. He called up somebody. He said he needed to see his witch, or that he would need to get to the witch for that, whoever that is.
That is an afterthought material. That was something you should have told them as soon as they came looking for Crane.
There's a page here that was torn out.
Oh yeah?
Ironically, this is a case where the important information is missing from the middle of the book.
So, can we find the dull pervert or not?
I tried.
Bluebeard calling someone a perv for murdering women is ironic given his tale.
I think the twins are out. Probably working on a case.
Where's their office?
Oh, right this way. I was going there next anyway. I can let you in if you want. You can wait for them there.
Sure.
Sure, I see no issue letting you into my boss's office where you have no business being. Let me get the door for you. Would you also like the code to the safe?
Bigby, what happened to your...
You wanna know what this is? This is them showing up to Lily's funeral with fucking shotguns!
That bloodstain from when Dee shot Bigby at the funeral appears at the perfect time to convince Flycatcher to show him the secret room.
Book. This doesn't really tell us much.
Well, did you try checking the middle pages? All evidence suggests that there will be something useful written there.
It's Snow's hair.
How is Crane getting all these locks of hair from Snow to make the glamours of her without her knowing?
I think I saw a phone near the back.
Actually, the phone is right next to him since he picks one up immediately after you suggest the one in the back.
As used to be. What is the problem here? What stupid shit will you both not let go of? Oh, I forgot. You haven't heard the news. This walking lard cake was paying Holly's sister to let him fuck her behind all of our backs.
To be fair, Lily was a prostitute, and Woody has a thing for working girls. However, it does mean Woody knew that she was actually a troll when he had sex with her. Listen, King Jehoshaphat, and all who live in Judah and Jerusalem. This is what the Lord saith unto you.
I never fucked her when she was Snow.
How do you even know about the snow glamour Lily used? That hasn't been made public information. This is a convenient writing error that keeps happening. Once again, all the important information is in the middle of the book cliché.
Is anyone there? Bigby, if you're there, pick up, okay?
You would never find an answering machine on your bar table phone. That's for the back office.
What is this?
Mommy uses that to carve her trinkets. It's from the old world.
Trinkets? Like glamours?
Auntie Greenleaf, glamored as his kid, straight up tells him the source of the black market glamour she's been making, resulting in Snow wanting to burn it. Everyone is way too helpful when revealing illegal information.
It hurts when you do it that fast.
Phrasing.
I just love you, Snow. I love you, and I'm sorry I'm not Prince Charming, okay?
The one time we saw you interact with Snow, you barely tolerated her presence and treated her like she was incompetent. If you secretly harbored feelings for her, then a little compassion and respect would have gone a long way.
Ichabod Crane, you are under arrest for the misappropriation of Fabletown funds.
Considering how long fables can live, incarceration hardly seems like much of a punishment.
Tweedledee. What's the, you know, that thing the Mundies call me?
What?
My nickname. You know what I'm talking about.
Stop playing the pronoun game and just introduce yourself as Bloody Mary. This makes that scene at Lily's funeral with Bigby being held at gunpoint seem preposterous, since Bigby can take dozens of hits from a shotgun and shake it off. Are those shotguns ever going to run out of rounds? I mean, I counted at least 24 shots before I stopped counting, and they are still firing. Bigby's shirt phases out of existence when he transforms.
It was a good show, but, you know, it just didn't know when to end.
Bloody Mary has apparently played Telltale's The Walking Dead games.
You know, you didn't think silver bullets would work on anything but a pure werewolf. But as it turns out, it's just not the case.
My thoughts exactly. Bigby isn't even a werewolf, so silver bullets shouldn't hurt him this much. In fact, Bigby is the opposite of a werewolf. He's a wolf that turns into a man. Bloody Mary got Woody's axe out of pawn to kill Bigby even though she had silver bullets. This axe really only serves to give Bigby a lead to track her down with later.
Oh, and just between us girls, Crane ain't no killer. I mean, look at his face. Couldn't stick a pig if his life depended.
Why would you confirm that, thereby ensuring they will continue looking for the real killer who you are protecting?
Please, Bigby, don't move it. Doctor.
Look, I'm a bit engaged saving his life at the moment, but if the fractured extremity concerns him that much, he can set it himself.
You can't just set a compound fracture. That requires pins and bars to hold in place. But not only do they just set it back like a dislocated shoulder, it's a complete non-issue for the rest of the game. Hell, it's a non-issue after this scene. He even punches people with it later.
Because I once watched a vet sew a turtle together in 10 minutes flat.
How does one sew together a turtle?
The Crooked Man, Bloody Mary, the Tweedles. This is bigger than what I thought it was.
Yeah. The Crooked Man came out of the shadows for a reason. For him to attack us so blatantly like that.
The Crooked Man's reasoning for saving Crane makes no sense. Crane might have taken the fall for the murderers had he been brought in. Instead, he took Crane by force, confirmed his involvement in the crime, and directed the investigation towards himself when before he wasn't even suspected.
And this situation has to end.
What situation?
All unglamored fables starting today have to go and stay at the farm.
Gimme!
Vastly important issues going on, and the political leader only cares about deporting people. Guess I'm sending this game and real life.
Huff and puffs. Not many people smoke those.
Well, what do you expect him to do? Smoke a brand of cigarettes that doesn't reference his fable?
Back in the dressing room, at the Pudding and Pie, I told you what I was looking for. You sent me to the open arms. Maybe that'll work again?
You can try.
Indirectly answering would work, actually. Just recommend some meat from the butcher, or tell him to pawn something for you at Jersey Devil's pawn shop.
I used to have friends to help me find my way.
One was a crab, the other a flounder. They like to sing.
Faith wore one too. That's why you can't tell me anything. It's the ribbon, isn't it?
That seems like a very dangerous way to apply the secrecy spell. It's a ribbon, so it's easy to remove. And if it's removed, the person's head comes off with it. These girls are prostitutes, meaning there's a good chance a client might take it off before she could stop him.
You're just going around knocking on doors? Stirring the pot?
I have only one character trait, being irrationally jealous and angry. Every other fable has more depth and nuance in their fairy tale character. But me? I'm the real OG. Also, why have you not cleaned the blood off your face from that fight? That was over a day ago.
Look, we're used to a certain kind of lifestyle, okay? We couldn't just give that up.
We never meant for it to get like this.
Rather than sell any of the expensive art or antiques in their apartment, or move to a less expensive one, Beauty took out loans from the Crooked Man and Beast delivered illegal goods for him to make their rent.
I'm not the only one who goes there, you know. I saw the woodsman's axe there just the other day. It was in a display case.
The only reason you would have been at the pawn shop would be to pay your debt, which you haven't been doing since you just received a phone call from the Crooked Man's bookie telling you to pay up. So you being there and seeing Woody's axe on display would have been risky. Toad turned face donkey skin cloak over to Bigby and Snow in episode 2, yet here he is trying to pawn it. That's a 5-foot talking toad that just walked out the door and onto the street in broad daylight and no one noticed. Bigby didn't even care. Why does he need a glamour so badly again?
I mean, it's Jersey who's the one who's into this stuff, and it'd be great if he was here to tell you all this, but he's not. So just...
Jersey, don't give me that shit.
Speak of the devil, literally.
Are you kidding me? It was here. It was right fucking here. What did you do with it?
Bloody Mary took Woody's axe at a pawn to kill Bigby. Then she returned it the next day and they didn't put it back in the case it was originally in, but put it in a locker. Now that's glassing someone. Not only is Bigby's arm broken in two, Jersey Devil just impaled it in the same spot, and that injury still won't matter at all.
You can't find a crooked man. No one can. You'll never find it. Even Crane had to use the magic mirror.
You just told them how to find the crooked man after telling them how he can't be found. Despite popular belief, it's quite difficult to get lost in a meat locker.
You come in here making trouble for me, but you only give a shit now because the crooked man stepped on your toes or something. Where were you when they took this place from me? I needed help. I needed your help.
Did you ever report it? Bigby keeps getting blamed for things he was never even aware of because the crime was never reported to him. Rather than hide or destroy the mirror shard Crane took with him, they left it in Crane's coat in the butcher shop.
Wait a minute. I know that door.
You didn't recognize that door. You read the sign right next to it. Bigby kicks down the crooked man's door, but is then several meters away just so he can dramatically run through it.
He gave me a job, and I'm lucky to have it. This is the only option I've got.
Was there a recession going on or something? Every single one of these centuries-old, near-unkillable characters gets the same sob story. Learn to save some of your money for God's sakes.
So don't waste the silver.
It wouldn't be a waste of silver. Bigby would be dead and not a problem.
If you have to know, it was Georgie. However, like I said, I'd be handling the matter if you don't mind.
Everyone else in Fabletown seems to know what Bigby is like, except for the crooked man who thinks he can negotiate. Despite the crooked man throwing Georgie under the bus by revealing he was the one who killed the girls, Georgie still helps the gang try to kill Bigby rather than get away. Bigby's clothes once again disappear rather than rip off when he transforms. How are they going to keep this out of the news? There are hundreds of people who had to have seen a 7-foot wolf man run down the street while dodging cars. Despite all of the hectic getaway driving, Georgie's car ends up right beside the crooked man's limo. Are you for real? Bigby finds his exact outfit hanging on a clothesline outside the Pudding and Pie.
This was supposed to be our place. We were going to be in charge for once, and nobody would try to control us or use us.
We just wanted a place to call our own, you know, a place where we could force young, desperate girls into a life of prostitution under the threat of death. Was that too much to ask?
Vivian! No! No, 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 no!
No. Other fables can take axes to the brain and multiple gunshots. Georgie, on the other hand, dies to a knife wound. Steel factories do not just close over the night and leave all the machinery running with molten steel still in the crucibles. That may have been a lame jump scare, but it was still an attempted one. Helps if I don't see the frame where she spawns in. Here's a girl who knows where the camera is located. Why didn't Bigby just start the fight off like this? Or all of his fights for that matter. This would also serve as a pretty good definition of glassing someone. I shouldn't have to send someone's improbable clothes this much.
Snow White wants you to bring me back to the woodlands, doesn't she? And that's what I want. And I'm sure Miss White would agree that I should be given a fair trial.
Your chances of surviving a trial are incredibly low. You would be far better off if you shot Bigby with the silver bullets instead of turning yourself over. To have a fair jury, it has to be impartial. This jury is made up of people who worked for and were wronged by the Crooked Man. Despite all of Snow's talk about running this place on the straight and narrow from now on, this trial is right out of a Banana Republic.
Normally we'd schedule a formal hearing, but considering the circumstances, I thought it best if we do this as soon as possible.
Actually, all the other threats have been dealt with, so you do have time to set up a formal meeting. It also wouldn't hurt if you took the time to round up the rest of his men and collect evidence. And going by the standard Miranda rights you read, Crane, this has to go against your laws.
My employees are just that, hired help. I see some of them are here among you.
This is why you pick an impartial jury with no connection to the accused.
What about Lily? She wasn't free. She wasn't given a choice. Do you really think she wanted... that any of those girls wanted their lives like that?
I'm sorry, Holly. I'm sorry that your sister asked me for help, and I'm sorry that I decided against my better judgment to give her a distasteful job.
Even if they bought the line that you weren't responsible for the murders, you still admitted to giving the girls jobs as prostitutes, which you were also charged with, as well as 2 counts of attempted murder on Bigby and a host of other things that you can't talk your way out of. What exactly was the plan here? You're in cuffs, surrounded by people who hate you, and you're trying to take a man who can change into a wolf hostage? This is basically a setup so Bigby can kill him without feeling remorseful about it. Toad and his son are out on the street in full view of traffic as they pack up their belongings to be sent to the farm, because people seeing unglamoured fables is such a huge risk.
Faith, Lily, and I, we had this plan. We were gonna find a way out. Leave the Pudding and Pie for good. But then Faith decided to get some leverage. She stole a picture of Crane and Lily together.
You wouldn't have been able to show that photo off, though. The spell kept you from revealing information about the business. All Faith had was a photo of Crane and someone who looked like Snow White. Someone seeing that photo might simply have thought the two were in a relationship.
But that night at the club, Georgie came back and told me things had changed. He had to make an example of us. And while the two of us
were sitting there as he was telling me this. Faith walked in, and I had to watch while Georgie...
Well, that explains Georgie murdering Faith. But why then kill Lily when the heat was on? Faith was murdered to serve as an example. Killing Lily only served to reveal Crane's connection, which they were trying to hide.
I left Faith's head at your doorstep.
Which should have made Georgie realize who was to blame for involving Bigby. When disposing of the bodies, they would have seen the heads were missing, and you were the only one who could have done it. Yet he never suspected anyone of leaving the heads for Bigby to find. It was never even brought up, in fact. Also, why did you leave Lily's head on the steps? Bigby was already on the case after you left behind Faith's head.
You're not as bad as everyone says you are.
I need to tell you something.
I have to tell you something.
I feel like we've met before.
You're trying to place me. You like my ribbon? Do you like it?
It's implied that Faith is alive and has been glamored as a Nerissa this whole time. But the head left at the Woodlands had the same bruise on her cheek that the woodsman gave to Faith when Bigby arrived at the apartment. So that had to be the same Faith's head. And why would Faith even have a Nerissa glamour?
I'll see you around, Wolf.
Sequel baiting.
What's prickle bit?
A magic word.
What's it do?
Makes animals shit gold.